Hello and welcome. My name is Lorna and this is my channel Thread and Yarn. A really warm welcome to you whether you've watched my channel before or you're new here. Hello. This is a place where I like to share about the things that I've made. Knitting, sewing, natural dyeing, occasionally a bit of quilting, allotmenting, and I also like to weave in a bit of folklore and just enjoyment and appreciation and respect for the natural world. So if that sounds like your sort of thing, then I hope you enjoy this little video. So today I really wanted to talk to you about some of the things that I've made, like this dress and this checked skirt, some really lovely autumnal makes. And I've also been doing lots of knitting, so I wanted to show you that too. I've got these little cardboard socks and I've been working on my pagan sky sweater as well. So yeah, and of course the thing that I'm wearing, I finished my Briar gauntlets. I finished the knitting of them and the pattern, and I'm really excited to release them. I've been wearing them lots. They're just super cozy. So yeah, I want to show you all of that. And I've also got some lovely autumnal yarn to show you, including some kits for making the Briar gauntlets and also a couple of, there's a bluey one there, a couple of Briar shawl kits in case you want to make a matching Briar shawl. So yeah, lots of autumnal goodness. I'm going to pick some acorns, I am going to show you my makes, and I hope you enjoy it. So yeah, pop the kettle on or something. I'm going to make a cup of tea, and I hope you enjoy this cozy little video. I realised it's actually been quite a while since my last video, over a month, which is unusual for me. And it's just really flown by. It's my favourite time of year, as I'm sure a lot of you feel the same about autumn. It gets very exciting, all the cosy plans and crafts and lovely things to do, all the beauty that goes on outside. And it's just been, yeah, it's just absolutely flown by. I've been loving autumn, and it's also been really busy. Autumn is possibly, or at least early autumn is possibly my busiest time of the year. It's full of autumn craft markets, and also as I'm an illustrator as well, I've got it behind me, but my calendar, it's calendar season. It's been lovely packing up all the calendars and meeting people at the yarn shows and taking all my things out on the road to various fairs. But it's meant the month has gone by very quickly. But I have made some things and I wanted to share them with you. I had a little break at the start of the month, I think, pretty sure it was the start of October. Before the autumn markets, we decided to drive up to Scotland in our old van, not the one we're renovating. And we stopped at a little campsite in Northumberland on the way, and then went up to Edinburgh where we spent a couple of days, and then up to west where we went to Campbelltown and got the ferry across to Arran and then back to the mainland. Stopped off in Cumbria on the way home. It was a wonderful, wonderful week. There was so much to tell you about, so many wonderful places we visited, beautiful yarn shops in Edinburgh, dolphins on the ferry ride. Oh, it was just beautiful. But there's so much to tell you about that I decided I would do a separate video on that hopefully I'll edit at some point in November. But I've popped a couple of little clips in now. But it was beautiful and lovely, and it just felt like the perfect start to October. So that was very nice, but I'll tell you more about that soon. But that's how my month started. And then there were various yarn shows. So hello and thank you to anybody that came along to the Cirencester Cots of Wool weekend at the start of the month, and then a week later it was Tetbury. So yeah, it's been a lot of fairs, and they were both really great. Tetbury in particular was really busy. Sorry if I seemed a bit frazzled if you met me there. I was really not anticipating there being so many people, my lovely mum has offered to help me out next year, so I'm really excited about that. So you'll see the pair of us there if you come along next year, because I really needed a helper. So that will be great. But it was lovely, and I met loads of you over the last the last 2 markets, so that was just really nice. I love to put faces to names. As I was saying to you at the markets, sometimes it feels a little bit like I'm just kind of talking into the ether, and it's really lovely to meet people and remind myself that we'll put faces to, you know, who might be watching. It just feels really nice. So thank you so much for your support and for coming to say hello. But I have, I'll talk about it nearer the end, but I've got some yarn from those fairs and also some extra things that I've dyed up. So I'm going to be doing my last yarn update of the year towards next week. Next week is the Halloween week, isn't it? Next week. Yes, but I'll talk about that at the end of this video. But I've got various autumnal colourways and kits, including my finished Briar gauntlets. This pattern and some yarn kits will be out next week, and I will talk about that near the end. Super happy with those. But seeing as I'm just rambling, I thought I would try and start with what I'm wearing. So this is something I've just finished. Well, the t-shirt I finished in the summer, I think. Late summer. It's the Feels Right tee by Lily Kate France, I think, and I dyed it in my Corriedale sock yarn in the colourway Myrtle. I've got some very similar yarn to this actually, which I'll show you at the end, but I wear it loads, this t-shirt. And although, to be honest, I've been wearing more layers lately, like a cardigan over the top of this, or my Briar shawl, which I've put somewhere around here. I just wanted to show you the dress and the t-shirt together for the video. But what I finished more recently is this dress. Now, I was talking to you a little bit about it in my September video. It's the Hinterland dress by So Liberated, and I wanted to modify the pattern a bit so that the bust and the waist were a bit more fitted, and I wanted to be able to wear it sort of under dresses and just have a slightly more fitted silhouette on the bodice before it came out in the skirt. I think I'd sewn up the bodice and that was it in my last video, but I've completely finished the dress now. It had to wait a little bit because the wrong colour buttons arrived, but I've got them now, and yeah, they're all on. I will film some full length shots when it's not raining outside and I'll show you the full length. But I really like it. I think it's great. I did pleats on the skirt instead of gathers this time, on a bit of a whim. I just thought it might look a little bit different, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it actually. It's nice to have something slightly different in my wardrobe. And also this lovely sort of heavy duty black linen from Ray Stitch just feels so wearable. It's quite tough. I've got some ninny culottes in it that I've made last summer, maybe. They're at least a year old, and they've worn really well, and I cycle in them a lot, so I think that's quite a good test of the strength of a garment, cycling in it. So I think this dress is going to be a real workhorse. I've been wearing it over things like this t-shirt, but also I think it's going to look great with jumpers on top and cardigans. So yeah, really happy with it, really pleased. I've gone for a sort of mid-shin length. I've noticed lately that my dresses have been getting longer and longer, and whilst I really like that look and I think it's a nice length on me, I just wanted to mix it up a little bit to be able to show off a little bit more of my handmade socks or my boots, and yeah, I'm quite enjoying it. It feels slightly more playful. I mean, it's all relative, isn't it? But yeah, I really like it. It's very autumnal and moody outside at the moment, and this dress does feel quite witchy to me. I think also pairing it with this sort of grey speckledy t-shirt, it feels very October. So it feels incredibly appropriate, although I'm sure I'll wear it year round. Yeah, this was originally a sort of practice run for some dusky blue linen that I have, and I was thinking about making a full sleeve or full like 3/4 length sleeve version of it with a fitted bodice, and I just wanted to make sure that these adaptations worked, and I think it has. I'm still in two minds as whether to do like little cap sleeves or to do 3/4 lengths. I'm not sure. I need to see if I've got enough fabric as well, but I'm confident that this works quite nicely. All I did was grade in the waist seam from the sort of bust dart onwards, and I basically, because I'd made a top version of the hinterland, just pinched in sort of what felt like about the right amount of ease. I wanted to still be able to move around. I didn't want it to be sort of incredibly tight. So I think I took off about 2 centimetres from either side of the front, and then obviously from the back as well. So all in all, it might have been about 8 centimetres of total circumference removed, which is quite a bit. There is quite a bit of ease. So yeah, I just graded it down from the bust dart because I still wanted it to fit my bust, obviously, and not be too tight there. But it was very, very simple, basically. But I would say, if you want to do something similar, to mock it up on some inexpensive fabric, of course, first, just to check your fit, because all our bodies are different and we all like different fits. So yeah, but that's what worked for me. So I'm really, really pleased with that, and I think I'll give the blue one a go at some point. It's just finding the time to do some sewing. I was saying in my last video that it took a while for my sewing motivation to come back, and a lot of you said similarly, and that you also didn't feel like doing much sewing over the really hot, long, dry summer we had. And I really felt that, and so I definitely wasn't alone in that. So thanks for your comments. I have had my motivation come back, but my time has been just so limited because of the busyness of markets and calendars and things like that. So yeah, I'm always sort of hoping for more time in the future, but I really need to make sure that I actually carve myself out breaks and carve myself out time to work on my own things. So it was really lovely doing this dress. That felt special. But it can be hard when you're self-employed to do that. I don't know if there are any other self-employed people out there who feel that, but especially when you really, really love what you do, you just want to do all the things, and it can be, yeah, when it comes down to it and you're just one person, it can be quite full on. So I'm reflecting on that, and I'm learning. I'm definitely getting better, so that's good. And that's why this is my last yarn update for the year as well, because I just, as much as I love it and I can think of all these new like wintry colourways and ideas, and I can really see myself getting swept off with new new ideas and creations. It's so, you know, each colour can take a week or two to create. It's such a lengthy process, which I love, and teaches you to respect colour and nature, you know, the natural ingredients I'm using to naturally dye my yarn. But it all, you know, you need to leave time for you too, so you continue loving it. And that's what I'm working on. So yeah, long-winded today, sorry. Yes. Right, so yeah, I finished this dress. The other sewing project that I finished recently, or sort of finished, is this very, very, very simple elasticated waistband skirt. Here it is. I think that's the front actually. Now this is even shorter length, this is just below the knee really. So that's quite short for me. But again, I feel like I'm going for darker, witchier colours at the moment. But I've had this fabric for a long time. It's cotton linen in the coffee colourway from Merchant & Mills. I bought this at my local haberdashery and stitches that my lovely friend Christina runs. And yeah, I just wanted a really, like, it's got a lot of volume, this skirt. I think this is about 2.7 metres circumference, which is quite a lot of volume for me, for my waist size. So I love it. This is exactly what I wanted, but I knew it at the time. The elasticated waistband, I was going to say, it's a bit of a stretch, obviously, but it was a bit ambitious because it's a lot of volume to get round the elastic channel. Oh, my brain's gone fuzzy. A lot of fabric, basically, to go around the elasticated waistband. So ways around that are, I could do like my Briar, my bramble skirt pattern, where you've got a smaller circumference upper tier, but I didn't really want to break up the check with multiple tiers. I wanted it to just be one thing. Or I could do a fitted waistband. Somebody also suggested on Instagram you could top stitch down the fabric to the elasticated waist. I do that on all elasticated waistband things. Basically what you do is you stretch the elastic out to its full width and then you carefully top stitch over it. But you can see this is stretched out to its full width and there is still lots and lots of gathers. That's how much volume there is, so I can't do that on this, not without top stitching the gathers down on top of it. Basically, there's not enough elastic for the amount of gathers and it feels a little bit bulky. So I think what I'm going to do, and I've worn it a few times to see how it feels, is I'm just going to do a fitted waistband. So I'll take the elastic out and I will make a waistband to the circumference of my waist, and I'll do some kind of fastening. I'm thinking I might do like a little button fastening just on the side instead of a zip. I just think they can be a little bit more subtle and it feels like a more durable mechanism than a zip. I just like it. So I might do that. So that's something that feels relatively short and achievable, she says, that I can do in some free time. But I've got some videos of me wearing this because I wore it recently to go foraging for some acorns, which was lovely. I was looking after my mum's dogs and I took them on a nice walk and we picked a load of acorns. I don't know if you've noticed acorns around you on the floor. I was getting hit by them on the head as I was collecting them, but it's we think it's a mast year. So a mast year is where there's sort of an isolated year, maybe every 4 or 5 years, where there's an absolute abundance of nuts, and it often happens across species, so definitely noticing it on oak trees with acorns. In my area at least, I've noticed it hugely with walnut trees. There's a lot of walnuts on the floor, and I pay close attention to walnut trees every year because I use their leaves for for lots of my dyes because I love it so much. And I'm very familiar with that tree, and I've noticed a huge increase in the walnuts this year. And I think there's a lot of beech nuts on the floor as well, and I've seen a lot of people picking sweet chestnuts in huge numbers, so that's very exciting. Now the sort of theory behind it, it's all just theoretical, but I guess one of them is the predator association theory, which is where, to help the tree reproduce, they somehow communicate with each other in your areas, but also apparently much further afield, and it appears to be across the country and even into different continents this year. There are years where there's a reduction in the amount of fruit or nuts it produces, so that the population that eat it, like I always use squirrels as the example, they have less available, so their population declines, they can't sort of sustain as much young, and then the trees do that all together harmoniously several years in a row, reduce the population, and then boom, they have a massive mast year where they produce a huge abundance, far more than the predators can eat. And it just gives the tree that extra chance to have that nut that can get through to become a sapling and on to become a mature tree. You think how many nuts that a tree produces, how many acorns, thousands of acorns fall off. The chance of even 1 or 2 of those becoming a tree on its own is just so magical and so unlikely and special that it's wonderful. And that the fact that they communicate to do this en masse, so they have a mass effect. I feel like we know just a tiny amount about how trees communicate, and I just find that incredible and just so magical. And I think the more that we notice these sorts of things and the more that we're not rushing past them and the more that we respect them, the more respect and understanding we'll have for the natural world. So I'm trying to sort of build noticing these sorts of things into my life, and it does naturally fit, you know, as a grower and a gardener and also as a natural dyer. I am quite closely related to it, but I wasn't always, and it doesn't have to be your job to notice these things. I think it's good for us and it's good for the planet. So yes, anyway, I went on a walk to pick acorns, that's what I was saying. So I have noticed them all everywhere, and years ago my partner and I collected acorns to dye some linen trousers that he had made into a sort of grey colour, and I haven't done it since. So I picked a lot of acorns and I started off a dye bath, and I thought I would just show you what it's looking like at the moment. Basically, acorns are tannin rich, so they've got lots and lots of tannin in them, which gives a nice warm brown colour, and then you can shift it to become a sort of grey colour with iron water or rust water. So that's my plan. I've got a little skein and also some fabric that I'm putting in, and I've got a longer video on my Patreon of me harvesting them, and I'll pop up a little article there as well once I've finished, but I'll just show you a little bit of a snippet today. Here it is after about 20 hours. Just heated it up again gently, getting a nice warm brown in there. Yeah, I'd love to know what you've noticed in your area. Have you noticed lots of acorns? Have you picked any sweet chestnuts? Have you been growing and harvesting any autumnal things? I've got one of my little squash by me. It's my favourite vegetable to grow by a long way. They're just the plants are just so full of life. They're just ready to go, like right from the outset, and they produce this incredible food which is really nutritious and stores for ages and can really fill you up. I just think it's magical food, so it's my favourite thing to grow. I had a bit of a difficult year with them this year. It was so hot and dry, I didn't get to my plot as much as I wanted, but oh well. Other things I have in abundance, and I'm still really grateful for these. So that's sewing and a little bit about foraging. I will show you some of the knitting I've been working on. So I'll start with sort of longer term work in progress. This pagan sky. So I've been knitting this for a while now. I had a hiatus while I ran out of yarn, and then it was summer and I didn't feel like working on a big heavy jumper. But I've picked it up again recently once I'd finished some of the patterns, like the Briar gauntlets, and I've done maybe 10 rows over the last couple of days. I'm not a super speedy knitter. I kind of chip away at things slowly, but I've done sort of this flower section, at least the bottom sort of 2/3 of it, from about here maybe, and I'm just loving seeing this pattern develop. I think it's so beautiful, and in fact I'm nearly at the end of the colour work for the body. There's just a little bit more of this sort of flower star to do. I think it just kind of tapers to a point, and then that's it. And then it's just in the round body work, and then of course there's some more colour work on the sleeves which matches the body, which I'm sure will take me ages because I don't like doing sleeves. Who does? But I think it's just something I really do want to have finished for winter though, because I think it'll be by far my warmest jumper. It's so warm, especially with all of the floats inside, the sort of double thickness that you get from thick, well, DK is quite thick for me, I'm always working with 4-ply, but it feels very thick, and with the colour work. So I think it's going to be very warm and very cosy. I'm knitting it in the Blueface Leicester and Shetland blend that I have, and in fact I've put some 50-gram skeins of that on my website. And then the dark colour is the Raw Wool Company's Rum and Raisin, which is just such a beautiful yarn. And that's the one I'd run out of, and they kindly sent me some more. So that's super exciting, so I'm carrying on with that. And yeah, I'm loving it. In fact I'll pop it on because I think it'll look so nice with this dress. The collar still needs some work because it's not supposed to be up like this. It's a double, there's the pearl bit. It's a double collar that I need to stitch down, so it'll be more like that. and it's on various needles at the moment, but we're making progress. It's going to be a little bit oversized, but that's nice. I think it's going to be a proper snuggly winter jumper. Oh, it's so nice. Definitely have done more colour work since I last showed you. You can see a lot more of it, which is really, really exciting. So yeah. And it's got the nice short row shaping at the back. Gosh, it's so warm and cosy. Oh, this is the first time I've tried it on, I think, since I last showed you. So it's just a real motivation to try it on and to see it, because I can see the camera, and I can't wait. I think it's going to be really sweet over this dress. I probably won't make it too long. It won't be. I want it to just sort of stop below my trousers, not be huge, and not be really cropped. So sort of middle, I guess. But yeah. The sleeves do feel relatively big, but it's so hard to tell, you know, once you've joined in the round and picked up the underarm stitches. I'll just keep an eye on that, because often I need to do additional decreases so that sleeves aren't way too big on the upper arm for me. Yeah, there we go. Very exciting. Right, I'll get this off because I've got various needles poking into me and yarn all over the place. The other thing I finished knitting, there we go, these socks. So it's actually the second time I've knitted this pair of socks. The first pair I knitted, I did on 2.5 needles, but I was supposed to do it on 2.75 and I couldn't find them. And I thought, oh, it'd be fine. But actually I wore them a bit and they were a bit too small. But I loved the yarn. It's Lonk, which is a traditional British breed that often used to make socks and stockings and things like that. So it's, yeah, I thought it'd be a lovely yarn for a plastic-free sock. And the pattern is the Unity socks, which I found in the 52 Weeks of Socks book, but I imagine is also available on its own now. I just love the cabling. It's so pretty, and it's just the right amount that you know, it keeps you engaged, but not so much that you're constantly having to check and you can sort of get the pattern in your head. But I think they're so pretty. So this is the pair knitted on 2.75 mil needles, and yeah, I've just blocked them and they fit perfectly. So yeah, I really, really love them. They're so cozy, and I really wanted to make a lovely autumnal pair of socks for myself. These I dyed with walnut leaf, and it's the colourways Scotch Broom, which is the colour, it reminds me of the wildflower Scotch Broom, but it's the colour I often get from alum and walnut leaf, and usually the sort of really intense colour at the start of the season. It's a lovely sort of muted but rich gold, I guess. And I've started leaving some of the leaves in the pan in the dye bath so that you get this sort of direct contact and the sort of variation through this skein of yarn, and I think it just gives it a lovely depth. So I have quite a few of those. Let me grab them. Here's one just to show you. So you get this sort of variation through the skein, which I thought was just really lovely, and knits up like this. So yeah, I've got a few of those in my shop update, but I also have a pair of lovely cozy socks for myself, which I'm very excited about, and just feels just gorgeous to slip these on chilly autumnal days. So I'm really happy that I did that. And you know, normally I struggle a bit with the second sock, and I did these twice. So that's how much I really enjoyed knitting the pattern. It just was really engaging, and I thought it's so effective. And the other thing I have knitted are the Briar gauntlets. Here they are. So I call them gauntlets because they're a little bit longer than a fingerless mitt. They are designed to match my Briar shawl pattern. And where have I done? Oh, there it is. Yeah, which I designed over autumn winter last year and is inspired by hedgerows. So you've got the sort of the hedgerow roots and brambles and leaves and blossoms heading up the shawl, and I really wanted to make a pair of mitts, or gauntlets as it turned out, that matched them. So similarly, try and get both in shot. We've got the twisted rib long cuff and cabled brambles and the textured leaf and bobble section, and a twisted rib thumb, which actually is super comfy, and top up here, and then a slightly wider ribbed back, just because it helps bring it in at the back of the hand and also adds an extra bit of warmth and strength to the glove that just makes them quite structural, and I really love them actually. And my favourite bit is the shaping of the thumb. Just really hugs the thumb. I'm really happy with that bit actually. It was kind of a happy accident. I was just playing around, ripping back and seeing what kind of thumb I wanted to do, and then I just knit this one up and I was like, oh, that's so satisfying. It really curves around the muscle of the thumb. So I do really like that part of the design. Yeah, so these Briar gauntlets are going to be on my Ravelry at the same date as the shop update, which is Tuesday the 28th of October at about 5 p.m. Yeah, at 5 p.m. That's when all the yarn will go on my website, as will the kits of the Briar gauntlets. There's not loads of these. I could have done more, but I've decided that, like I was saying, I needed a bit of a break. So if you don't see a colour that works for you, it's 100 grams of any double knitting yarn, but I'll also do some more kits in the early spring. Yeah. So I might as well show you some of the yarn, because otherwise I realise I've been talking for ages and my phone is going to start telling me there's no storage space. So if I start with Briar gauntlets, there's some colours, and Briar shawls. There's some of this colour, which is very, very similar to my sample, a different dye lot, but very similar. This one is Briar rose and is very similar, just slightly more pinky. I've got a few of those. And then I have one of my favourite colours that I often redo, frosted blackthorn, which is a sort of mid, probably slightly darker than some of the previous versions of it that I've done, inspired by the slow berries with a hint of frost in the winter. It's a sort of mid blue with a sort of dusky tone from the grey base of the yarn. That's a Briar shawl kit, and I've got some undyed Briar shawl kits as well, and some other colours up behind me, which I haven't skeined up yet. But you'll see those on my website as kits. I've got some, I can't find it right now, but I've got some of this colour, the Scotch broom colour, for the Briar mitts, which I think will be Briar gauntlets, which I think will be really lovely. I've got some greeny yarn somewhere as well. This is a balled up one for me, but I've got some this colour. So yeah, there's a few different ones, but if there's not, you know, what the sort of thing you've got on your mind, then like I say, any double knitting yarn that's got a bit of structure to it, and I'll do some more in the spring. I'd recommend non-superwash yarn for these, just so they don't stretch out too much, because superwash can end up stretching a bit, and it's just nice to have something that's quite robust. I've used a lot of Shetland yarn for these, and Corriedale as well, just because they're both quite nice, strong, durable yarns. So yeah, any questions about these, just let me know. I'll show you some videos of me wearing them when I was picking acorns. And I will show you some of the other colours that I've got as well, just for like sock skeins. So if I show you some of the lonk first of all, then yeah, that's the yarn that I knitted this sock up in. It's a bit more of like a toothy wool, a bit more rustic, but I find they're softer than the Jacob, and it's slightly finer than the Jacob, but it's a nice robust 4-ply sock yarn, plastic free sock yarn, and it's got a slight heatheriness to it in the base, so it does have a bit more darkness and depth than the Corriedale, which is my typical sock yarn, which I'll show you later. Let me get some of the colours. So I have these colours for my lonk. I've got Scotch broom, which is this sort of goldy brown variegated colour. And then I have embers, I think this is, yeah, embers, which is, it's looking a bit bright, but it's more rich in real life. It's sort of browny, orangey colour. It just really reminded me of sort of, yeah, glowing embers. And then I have mycelium, which I've done before, which is a sort of browny, murky tone with a sort of hint of aubergine purple in it. Really, really sort of lovely mushroomy colour. In fact, they would go so well together, those three. Very autumnal and warm. And then I have lichen, which was a pale green base that I dyed with goldenrod and then bundle dyed with various different flowers and things like onion skins. And these are my four other long colours I have. They all make really sort of toasty socks. Also, I just think would make a lovely like colourwork top. It's a really, really nice yarn to wear. When I was doing samples of it, I tested it like how it would feel as a sort of cuff, and it just felt really gorgeous. I haven't knitted a full garment in it yet, but I'd love to. And I've saved some for me to make a sort of a cardigan or jumper at some point. So many other projects, so we'll see. There's the lonk. I'll show you some of the Corriedale. Now I have got quite mushroom inspired on these colours. Okay, so here are my Corriedale colours, similarly autumnal. Right, how best to do this so I don't just have an armful of yarn. Okay, I'll start with some of my mushroomy colours. Yeah, so I think some of these would look really lovely. I'm going to pull the curtain to you. So I think some of these would look really lovely as colourwork together, either as a shawl or as a t-shirt or jumper. But I've got mycelium, so that is the same as the lonk one, but just on the Corriedale instead of the lonk. It's got a little bit more purple tone to it on the Corriedale sock, which is another plastic-free sock with quite a high twist. And then I've got this crazy one, Witch's Butter, named after a mushroom in the woods called Witch's Butter, which is very vibrant yellow, but actually is dyed with gold. And then I've got Dark Mushroom, which is this lovely, rich, warm brown with some really mushroomy dark brown bits through it. And I just think that would knit up just so nicely, either as a top or a pair of socks or colourwork. Yeah, whatever you like. I have some returning colourways as well. So I have Scotch Broom again, but in the Corriedale this time, dyed in the same way with walnut leaf. And then I have Winter Grasses, which I often do, which is a very pale indigo, bundle dyed up with black hollyhock and onion skins. This one is slightly different to the previous dye lots. It's maybe got a little bit more colour on it, but has a sort of bluey grey undertone. And then I've got Cottage again, which I did in the summer, which is a very pale pink base with bits of gold and olive and an occasional bit of dark grey on there through, which just really reminded me of a sort of, the colours in a cottage garden. So that these ones are returning. And then I have some new really autumnal ones. Try and get the labels out of the way so you can actually see the yarn. So all labelled up from the markets. So this one is Bird's Nest, which I just think is really sweet. I've been really enjoying watching them this year making their little nests. But it's a mixture of mid-brown, a sort of deeper brown, and bits of gold and bits of olive, all the sort of lovely cosy things the birds stuff into their nests and weave all the little twigs together. I think that's very nice. I've got a few of those, enough probably for a jumper. Then I have Hedge Witch, which is very similar to Myrtle but slightly darker. It's got hints of lilac, grey, olive. You can see that it is quite similar, just ever so slightly darker. I have quite a few of these, maybe 5 or 6, because I do dye them in small batches. But it's got lovely highlights of a dark olive and sort of bits of purple through it. That's been dyed with walnut leaf, madder, iron, onion skins, black hollyhock. A lot of plants that I use regularly in my dyes. But yeah, it's quite a spooky colourway. I think I really like it, and it will knit up quite similar to myrtle that I'm wearing here. And that's those two. And then I have embers, just like the lonk orange, and it is a, there we go, sort of goldy orange colour. I'll take some other videos because it's looking a bit lighter. There we go, it's a bit more like that. Yeah, very autumnal colour, very autumn leaf. And then this one, which was super fun, this one's called Elf Cup, named after the sort of turquoise elf cup mushrooms. And I just had so much fun layering this one. It's got a sort of pale limey green with a brown sort of variegated through it. And then it's got highlights of sort of copper, gold, green and dark bluey grey. And it was just, yeah, it was really fun to do actually, and to unwrap. And I loved that sort of that limey coloured green base against the brown and the speckles. It just looked so sort of, you see that sort of licheny, mushroomy, glowing colours in the woodlands at this time of year, and it just really made me think of that. So yeah, there's a lot of mushroom inspired colourways and names, and just have generally been really inspired by the rich warm colours of the autumnal season. So yeah, I hope you like them. They will be going up on my website at the same time, Tuesday the 28th of October, just in time for Halloween. And yeah, they'll be up at 5 PM. It will be my last yarn update of the year. I don't think I'll do anything else. If I do, it will be like tiny bits, like an impromptu set of mini skeins of socks or something. But this is the last proper yarn update of the year. There are also some minis as well, of different sort of autumnal colourways and Corridel sock, but I'm yet to wind them, so I don't have them to show you, but they'll be ready by Tuesday and they'll be up on my website along with everything else. There are also these little mushroom ornament kits, which I think are very cute. There's a mixture of undyed natural coloured fleece, like the Manx locked in the dark brown, and then some dyed with walnut leaf and madder, and you can create these really cute little mushrooms, along with these little mushroom stamped patches. I got very mushroom inspired. It's a sketch of mine that I had carved onto some natural rubber, and then I've printed them on this naturally dyed cotton and linen, which I think would be lovely as patchwork or as mending patches on your clothes. The other thing that will be part of my shop update is my calendar. So I'm an illustrator and I paint things that are cosy with gouache paints, often gardening related or fibery related. So in fact, because I've gotten so into spinning this year, which I haven't talked about in this video, but can't talk about everything, but there are some spinning illustrations this time. That's October's one, which just felt really fitting for October. So yes, I've got various knitting ones in here and gardening ones and seasonal things. It's all printed on recycled paper. You can find it on my website as well, along with this little project notebook with some of my illustrations in just a little notebook. It's got 50 something pages in there. Those are on my website and will be with my yarn. They're also on my Etsy, which I'll pop all the details below, where I put all of my art bits. You can order from either. If you order from my website, I pay less in fees to Etsy, but on Etsy there's a much bigger selection of my art. So if you want to order from both places and you want them all to arrive together, just put a note on your order, on either one or preferably both, that you want to combine your orders, and then I'll send that all and refund you any difference in postage. So that's these. Yeah, I've really enjoyed putting them together actually. The problem is I always want to paint autumn and winter paintings, and then it comes to calendar time and I think, oh gosh, not everything can be in a September, October, November painting. So yeah, but I have really enjoyed putting it together throughout the year this year, but my heart does lie in the autumn season. So yeah, I hope you enjoy all the illustrations. But that's these. Oh, the other thing, I said in my last video that I was going to knit the... Oh, that's not the right thing. In my last video that I was going to knit the Forest Keys by Teti Lutzak in this lovely, lovely yarn. And I'm still really planning to do that. I just think it's beautiful. I was going to dye some up as well for this update. I've run out of time. So I'm not going to do that, and I'm decided I'm just going to put that aside until spring. You can see this kind of goldy colour. That is one of the colourways as well. Oops. Along with these and the bluey one there, but there's some other colours I want to do, and I want to knit it all up first into the t-shirt. So that's something I'm going to work on over winter, but that's still a plan I've got because I think that would be really, really, really beautiful. So I'm excited to do that. I do have some more plans of things I want to make and do, including the teddy dress that I spoke about last time. I did realise afterwards though that it needs a zip down the back, like a 50cm invisible zip. And I bought the zip, but I can't find my zipper fit anywhere. So I put that aside and I'm working on simpler projects for now, like fixing this checked skirt and making this little dress. And the other sewing project that I'm finishing at the moment, which I forgot to mention earlier, are these worker trousers. And I've been working on them slowly, doing little bits. And the other day I did some pockets. So I've got some nice sort of flannelly pockets. Yeah, and I think that would be really, really lovely with the pagan sky. Can't remember if I showed you those together before, but I think they'll match really nicely. So I'm excited to carry on doing this, but I'm just doing it slowly, just doing one thing like a pocket here and there in the odd evening, and that's just, yeah, I think I'll get a lot of wear out of those. So yeah, that's been me, that's what I've been up to. Yeah, it's been a busy season, but it's been a lovely one. I've met so many lovely people, and I've just really enjoyed deepening my crafts of natural dyeing, so that's felt really special. And I'm looking forward to doing that next year as well, but I think over the next few months it's going to be, yeah, spending time on my own projects and working on some courses and ideas and things for the new year and designs. And I think that fits quite nicely with my energy of the year and, yeah, what I want to be doing, resting my sort of physical energy a little bit more and spending more time sort of thinking and reflecting and designing. Feels like it will fit really nicely with late autumn or winter. The very last thing I'll say, sorry, it feels like a lot of updates at the end, is the Winter Gathering Knitting Retreat. We did one last year, last February, or the February just gone, and we're doing another one this February from the 5th to the 8th. I'm opening it up early to Patreon, so check Patreon if you remember. That'll be up soon. And everybody else, it will be up towards start of November, but I'll probably share more about that in another video. But the details are all on my website, so you can read about it in the meantime, and if you've got any questions at all, just let me know. And there's a video from last year as well which shows a bit more about the house. We won't be knitting the Briar shawls together like we did last year. It'll be a bring any handcrafts you like, whether that's knitting, spinning, embroidery, whatever you want to do, cosy up by the fire, listen to our lovely storyteller Hannah and enjoy some nourishing food and Cotswoldy rambles. Then yeah, that sounds like your sort of thing. I'd love to see you there. But all the details are on my website. Yeah, I think that was everything I wanted to say. But I hope you're all keeping well and you're staying cosy in this weather, and that you've got some nice autumn plans and things that you're working on, or spring ones if you're in the south of the globe. Then yeah, let me know what you're up to there, what's exciting you about your season and your projects. But I hope you're all keeping well, and I will catch up with you soon. I will pop up a little video about our trip to Scotland, and so I do have some personal project ideas that I'm really excited about that I want to share more with you about in November. I know I haven't finished everything that I've mentioned so far, but I feel like you've got to go with your inspiration, haven't you? So I have some lovely things that I couldn't fit into this video that I can't wait to share with you soon. So check in November for that. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you have a lovely cozy autumn, spooky October if you're into that, and I'll catch up with you soon. Lots of love.